This just in. The Garden Grove Police Department has noted an increase in violent incidents within the past few days. Experts, from what they have gathered, believe this to be a side effect of a newly discovered psychological disturbance affecting a large quantity of individuals within the city. According to individuals affected by this phenomenon, at random moments throughout the day, the victim will begin to see visions of loved ones thought to be deceased.
Message is being sent out in regards to an uptick in violence relating to a growing phenomenon affecting citizens within several cities in Orange County. Those affected by this phenomenon report seeing their loved ones in random intervals throughout the day. In every case, the individual supposedly cited by those suffering from this disorder is noted to have already been deceased at the time of contact. The level of attachment to certain deceased loved ones is believed to be a determining factor in which person an affected individual sees. Regardless of the individual affected, this mental affliction is able to drive those affected into long bouts of grief and sorrow, leading to an exponentially decreasing mental state to a point where the victim is driven to insanity. This process happens over the course of multiple days, though cases have been reported where a victim's mental stability is completely drained in just a day. At this point, the victim begins to experience an increase in violent tendencies. Victims at this stage express a desire to harm themselves and the people around them. Casualties have already been reported due to this phenomenon. At this time, you should take these steps to avoid falling victim to this phenomenon. Do not come into contact with anything that reminds you of a deceased loved one. If such a time is occurring where you have recently lost someone close to you, you should seek comfort to those around you. Alternatively, seek out a mental health expert who can provide you some solace. If you begin to think about a deceased individual, you are encouraged to partake in activities that can distract you and clear your mind. It is unknown what causes this disorder to manifest itself, though mental health experts believe it to be caused by extreme grief in regards to the loss of a loved one. If you or someone else you know is currently being affected by this phenomenon, dial 911 immediately and seek help. Though no clear method has been discovered to rid victims of this disorder, you are encouraged to seek help should you find yourself being affected by this phenomenon. If you begin to show signs of violence, isolate yourself immediately from anyone else that surrounds you and dial 911. If you are attacked by an individual who has been affected, you are authorized to use lethal force to protect yourself, though it should be noted that this should be considered a last resort, and that you should prioritize incapacitating said individual first. Remain tuned to this station to continue receiving updates on this situation.
Return to your homes immediately. You are inciting a mass riot and are at risk of causing harm to those around you. If you do not stop this violence, we will use lethal force on you.
This is an urgent safety bulletin transmitted at the request of the Garden Grove Police Department.
citizens are being advised to avoid downtown Garden Grove, as it is currently the site of a mass riot believed to have been caused by victims suffering from a psychological phenomenon that has been plaguing Orange County in the past few days. In addition to reports of civilian casualties, mass brawls between those under the effects of this phenomenon have been noted, resulting in fatalities and increasing damage to infrastructure. The Garden Grove Police Department is having trouble containing the riots due to the circumstances surrounding the event, and deadly force may be used on the rioters if the situation does not improve within the next few hours. The previous instructions from the emergency broadcasts made prior to today continue to apply to this situation. Immediately shelter in place if you have not done so already, and tune into stations to receive up-to-date coverage on this situation. Following the conclusion of this message, a curfew will be instilled within the city of Garden Grove lasting between 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. that will remain in effect until the Garden Grove Police Department determines that law and order has been restored to the general area. This activation of the emergency alert system has concluded. Thank you for your cooperation.
This meeting has been called in to inform you of an event in Orange County that has the potential to be a mass casualty situation. As you may have heard, several cities in the region, more specifically the city of Garden Grove, are sites of extreme violence due to an unknown phenomenon affecting its residents involving the appearance of deceased loved ones. Victims report having full conversations with them and being able to physically interact with them, despite them not being there in the material plane. Experts believe that the trigger for this phenomenon is a feeling of sorrow following the death of someone close to them. The concern from authorities is that with the increasing amounts of casualties, more people will be susceptible to falling victim to this phenomenon and becoming violent. We must be under the assumption that this event is able to propagate itself across the nation and potentially the entire globe. Federal and state authorities have already been informed about this event, and steps are being taken to limit the damage that this event can cause. Mental health institutions and therapists are on standby and are prepared to receive a mass number of patients. We must not sugarcoat things, however. With the way this phenomenon could potentially propagate itself, the world may not remain a safe place for long. We wish you all the best.
You know, I'm getting real hungry.
You want to get something to eat?
Absolutely. I haven't even eaten lunch yet.
You haven't? Well, there's a bunch of food places right around the block. What are you craving?
Maybe like a burger and some fries or something. I could just imagine it right now. A big, beefy burger with a nice side of golden, crispy fries and a large drink. My mouth is watering thinking about it.
Okay, buddy, hold it right there. It sounds like you're getting a hard-on. Shouldn't take us very long to find a burger place here. This place is probably crawling with them. I'm not complaining, though.
You heard about that crazy stuff going on in the county?
Of course I have. Every local news station is covering it. Hopefully it's all dealt with soon. I'm not trying to, die or anything.
Police Department. A massive explosion has occurred within the downtown Anaheim area, resulting in catastrophic damage to its immediate surroundings. At the current moment, it is speculated that areas within a half-mile radius of the explosion have been completely destroyed. The perpetrators of this attack are unknown at this time, nor is the death toll, but police expect the latter to be extremely high considering the incident's occurrence in a densely populated area. Authorities are concerned that more attacks may follow at any given time. If you are receiving this message, you are urged to find shelter so as to reduce your chances of falling victim to this and any potential future attacks that may follow. If you are outdoors, especially in a highly populated location, immediately head into the nearest sturdy structure and stay there until police can safely determine that it is safe to go outdoors. Remain tuned to local media outlets for further information as the situation develops.
We interrupt your programming for a message from the UK Ministry of Defence. Please pay attention to the information that will be transmitted shortly. UK Ministry of Defence has reported an uptick in violence in several locales across the United Kingdom. It is likely that the phenomenon that is continuing to ravage the United States, known as desolation, is the cause of this increase in brutality across the United Kingdom. Areas reporting the most unrest include London, Birmingham, and Bristol. Though the entirety of the UK is not reporting cases of this phenomenon, due to the virality of this condition, police believe it will not remain the case for long. If you are in areas reporting violence, you are urged to close all of your doors and windows and to shelter in place. Be prepared to respond to situations that may directly affect you, as bombings and gunfights are common within areas reporting instances of desolation. The most common cause of desolation is the vision of deceased loved ones, caused by feelings of dread or sadness as a result of loss. If you begin to feel this way, seek mental aid immediately. You will lose your mind if proper care is not administered. This concludes this message from the UK Ministry of Defence. Regular programming will now resume.
Esta é uma transmissão de emergência do governo do Brasil. Não é mais seguro permanecer ao ar livre. Devido à desolação americana, a maior parte do Brasil enfrenta o caos devido à violência causada por esta condição mental. Todos que recebem esta mensagem estão sendo ordenados a encontrar abrigo em um local fechado, de preferência um local resistente que possa se defender de ataques. Se você permanecer ao ar livre, será morto. O Exército Brasileiro está se organizando para responder adequadamente a esta situação. No entanto, esta condição não poupa ninguém e espera-se que as forças nacionais tenham dificuldade em exterminar a agitação que assola as cidades. A desolação é caracterizada por um estado mental desestabilizador desencadeado por visões de familiares e amigos falecidos. O gatilho para essas visões é um sentimento de melancolia devido à morte. Portanto, pedimos que você permaneça calmo e sereno e encontre conforto caso se sinta deprimido. Permaneçam em seu porto seguro até que o governo anuncie a conclusão deste desastre. Ressalta-se que devido à rápida disseminação desta condição, este evento pode continuar por um período de tempo indefinido. Nós lhe desejamos boa sorte.
This whole thing is just madness. Only about a week or two ago were we living our lives normally. And now this... I mean, I understand that losing a loved one is painful. But resorting to violence? It's only serving to bring the same pain that they felt upon someone else. And that's pain that no one should ever feel. It's beginning to take a toll on me. I've locked myself in my room for the past day or so, because I heard my roommate talking about seeing his dead brother, and I'm pretty sure he's become insane now. I used to hear crying, but today it's been silent, aside from banging on the walls or something. I heard the door open a while ago, so I'm thinking he went out to go kill someone. What the? Holy shit! Wait, please!
explosion was massive in size and has caused major devastation to areas within the immediate 5-mile radius. Those within the 10-mile planning zone are urged to evacuate immediately, as nuclear fallout is already beginning to spread into the area. Those within 50 miles of the explosion are advised to seek out a fallout shelter immediately. You should only take supplies that are absolutely necessary for your survival. Remain in your refuge for 14 days, or until civil authorities announce that it is safe to leave your shelters. The perpetrator of this attack is believed to be a person affected by the desolation phenomenon, plaguing several states within the nation. And as a result, the Georgia State Police are expecting a mass influx of violence to begin across the area due to the overwhelming casualties expected to be brought about by this disaster. The most common trigger for this phenomenon is the sadness brought upon by the death of a loved one. If you begin to see your deceased loved ones in person, immediately find comfort within those close to you immediately, or else you will inevitably go insane and become a threat to those around you. Repeating, the Vodal nuclear generating station has exploded. Those within a 10-mile radius of the explosion that have not been affected yet should evacuate immediately. And those within 50 miles of the blast are ordered to seek a fallout shelter.
This is an emergency action notification. All broadcast stations and cable systems shall transmit this national alert message. Information from the United States government will be relayed through the primary entry point system shortly. Please stand by. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. A national state of emergency has been declared across the entirety of the nation as a result of the desolation phenomenon which has wreaked havoc upon the streets of the United States. This condition shows no mercy to anyone affected by it. As of this broadcast, more than 70 million residents in the United States have been killed as a result of incidents involving the desolation phenomenon, and another 120 million are reported to have gone insane, soon to meet the same fate. Those affected by the desolation phenomenon, characterized by madness following visions of deceased loved ones, will use anything at their disposal to fulfill their homicidal desires. Many areas lay in ruin across the United States as a result of major gunfights and explosions, including those of nuclear nature. The condition has also been reported in major nations outside of the United States, with the United Kingdom, Russia, Australia, Japan, and many other countries facing massive unrest as a result of unstoppable violence. Many third world countries have already collapsed due to their lack of resources, and it is expected that many more will soon follow. In addition, desolation has begun to affect major individuals in the government, including the President of the United States, and as a result, the federal government is expected to collapse in the immediate future. Mental health services and other emergency units continue to deplete at an alarming rate due to incidents involving desolation. Military troops across the nation are attempting to deal with this situation, but because of the condition's virulence, infighting continues to be reported and the army continues to face destruction. To anyone receiving this message that has still been unaffected by the desolation phenomenon, you are on your own for the duration of this emergency. Shelter in place if you haven't done so, and ration all of your supplies, as it is highly unlikely that this situation will be resolved. Because of the unpredictable and violent nature of desolation victims, you should prepare to respond immediately to situations that may directly affect you, as devastating attacks like nuclear explosions are a possibility. Bring all of your loved ones with you and keep them safe at all costs. Check up on each other regularly to make sure everyone remains mentally stable. If you are attacked by a victim of desolation, use lethal force to subdue your attacker. If you begin to receive visions of deceased loved ones, you have fallen victim to desolation, and it is recommended that you isolate yourself from those around you to prevent being of harm to them. This concludes this national activation of the emergency alert system.